The night sky over Nevada turned bright orange for exactly 7 seconds. People in 3 states saw the light. Some thought it was a meteor. Others thought it was a plane crash. Nobody knew the truth except for a small group of people who worked in places that did not officially exist. Nathan Cole was sleeping when his phone rang. The voice on the other end spoke only 4 words before hanging up. "We need you now." 30 minutes later, a black helicopter landed in his backyard. 2 hours after that, he stood at the edge of the largest crater he had ever seen. The ship sat in the center of the crater like a fallen giant. It was black and smooth, shaped like a curved blade nearly half a mile long. Smoke rose from its surface, but there was no fire. The metal itself seemed to breathe. What do you think? General Derek Hansen stood beside Nathan with his arms crossed. His face showed no emotion, but his eyes moved constantly. He was counting threats, measuring risks, doing the math that kept soldiers alive. Nathan shook his head slowly. "I think we are not alone in the universe. And I think whoever built this thing is way ahead of us." Trucks and soldiers surrounded the crash site. They had set up a perimeter within an hour of impact. The official story was a chemical spill from a crashed military plane. Nobody was asking questions. Nobody would believe the truth anyway. Lavra Bennett arrived the next morning. She was an astrophysicist who had spent 15 years searching for signals from space. Now she stood before proof that her work was not crazy. Her hands were shaking as she touched the ship's outer hull. "It is cold," she whispered. "The crash should have heated it to thousands of degrees, but it feels like touching ice." Nathan nodded. He had noticed the same thing. Nothing about this ship followed normal rules. The first week was chaos. Scientists arrived from secret facilities across the country. They set up labs inside tents, ran tests on metal samples, and argued about what they were seeing. The ship was made of materials that did not exist on Earth. Its surface repaired small scratches on its own. Its energy readings made no sense. Lavra found the data core on day 9. It was buried deep inside the ship, protected by walls that seemed to move away when she approached. The core was a black sphere the size of a basketball. When she touched it, symbols appeared in the air around her. "Nathan!" Her voice echoed through the ship's empty corridors. "You need to see this." It took them 3 days to translate enough symbols to understand the basic message. The sphere contained a record of the ship's history. What they learned changed everything. The ship belonged to a species called the Velrith Dominion. They ruled over hundreds of worlds and dozens of slave species. They had technology that made human science look like children playing with toys. And they had thrown this ship away like garbage. "It says the vessel was contaminated," Lavra explained to General Hansen. "The Velrith deemed it obsolete and unfit for service. They dumped it on the nearest primitive world." Hansen's jaw tightened. "They used Earth as a trash can. They did not think we would even notice," Nathan added. "To them, we are barely intelligent. Just animals living on a rock." Or just animals living on a rock. The general was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke in a voice as hard as stone. "They made a mistake." Nathan began exploring deeper into the ship. The corridors were too tall and too narrow for human comfort. The Velrith were clearly not shaped like humans. But the controls, the panels, the interfaces, they were designed for something else. Something smaller and simpler. This ship was not made for the Velrith, Nathan realized. It was made for their slaves. Species they considered too stupid to operate complex technology. That discovery led to the breakthrough. On day 15, Nathan found the main control room. The panels were dark and dead. But when he placed his hand on the central console, light bloomed beneath his fingers. The ship recognized him. Lara ran tests for hours trying to understand why. The answer was simple and terrifying. The The ship was designed to be operated by any species the Vorath considered primitive. Its systems were built to respond to basic biological signals. The Vorath never imagined that a primitive species might be intelligent enough to use those systems for their own purposes. The screens filled with information. Star maps showed thousands of worlds. Technical diagrams revealed engines that bent space itself. Weapon systems that could crack planets. All of it disabled, locked, or removed by the Vorath before they abandoned the ship. But the basic structure remained. The bones of something powerful. General Hansen made a decision that would change human history. He called Washington and spoke to people whose names were never written down. Within a week, the crater was covered by a building. Within a month, the building was buried underground. The reclamation project was born. Nathan stood in the control room late one night, alone with the sleeping ship. He thought about the Vorath and their arrogance. They had thrown away this vessel because it was too simple for them. Too basic. Too primitive. They had no idea what primitive species could do. When given the right tools, he placed his hand on the console again. The ship hummed beneath his touch, waiting for commands it had never received before. Commands from a species that was supposed to be too stupid to matter. "We are going to prove them wrong," Nathan whispered. The ship's lights pulsed once, as if in agreement. Then a new display appeared. A holographic star map filled the room, showing Earth as a tiny blue dot among countless stars. A red marker blinked at the edge of the solar system. Numbers appeared beside it, counting down. Nathan's blood went cold. The Vorath had left sensors behind. Automatic systems that watched their garbage dumps. And now those sensors had detected activity. Something was coming. Humanity had just announced its presence to a galaxy that did not want them. The countdown showed they had 6 months before the first response arrived. 6 months to turn garbage into a weapon. Nathan ran to find General Hansen. The real work was about to begin. 6 months felt like 6 days. The underground facility grew around the alien ship like a city built in fast motion. Tunnels connected laboratories. Power lines fed hungry machines. Hundreds of scientists worked in shifts that never stopped. Sleep became a luxury that nobody could afford. Director Claire Sutton ran the reclamation project with iron discipline. She was a small woman with gray hair and eyes that missed nothing. Before this assignment, she had managed black budget programs that the public would never know about. Now she managed the most important project in human history. "We have 4 months left," she announced at the morning briefing. "I want the main engines online in 2 months. Weapons in 3. Full flight capability before our visitors arrive." Nathan Cole sat in the front row, exhausted but focused. Beside him was Kyle Dawson, a material scientist who had not slept in 40 hours. His eyes were red, but his voice was excited. "The hull alloy is self-healing," Kyle reported. "We finally understand how it works. The molecular structure reorganizes when damaged. We cannot reproduce it yet, but we can repair any damage the ship has." Small victories kept them going. The biggest breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Megan Torres was 26 years old, a programmer who had been recruited straight from a tech company. She was not supposed to be important. She was supposed to help translate alien code. Instead, she found something that changed everything. "The ship has an AI," she told Nathan one night in the control room. "It is not fully active. Most of its functions are locked, but it can communicate through text." She typed a simple question into the console. "Hello, can you understand me?" The screen flickered. Then words appeared in English. "I understand. You are new operators. Species designation unknown." Nathan leaned forward. "Ask it what happened. Why was the ship abandoned?" Megan typed the question. The response came slowly, as if the AI was choosing its words carefully. This vessel was designated for Karathi slave operators. Karathi species considered low intelligence. After service cycle completion, vessel was marked obsolete. Dumped on primitive world for disposal. Expected outcome: gradual decay over centuries. They thought we would just let it rot, Megan said quietly. She typed another question. What can this ship do? The AI's response filled 3 screens with technical specifications. Faster than light engines. Shields that could stop nuclear weapons. Scanners that could see across light years. And weapons. Dozens of weapon systems, all disabled or removed. Power cores extracted before disposal. Weapon systems deactivated. This vessel cannot fight. Nathan stared at the empty spaces where power cores should be. The Velroth had ripped out the ship's heart before throwing it away. They assumed no primitive species could ever replace what was taken. They assumed wrong. Kyle Dawson spent 3 weeks studying the empty power core chambers. The alien technology was beyond human science. But the basic principle was not. The cores converted exotic matter into energy. Humans did not have exotic matter, but they had nuclear power, fusion experiments, and a deep understanding of physics. We cannot build their power cores, Kyle admitted. But we can build something else. Something that fits in the same space and connects to the same systems. His team worked around the clock. They merged human nuclear technology with alien conduits. The result was ugly, crude, and completely unexpected. When they activated the first hybrid power core, the ship's, I sent a single message. Power levels exceeding original specifications. How is this possible? Megan laughed out loud. Because we built it ourselves. We did not copy what you had. We made something new. The AI was silent for a long moment. Then it responded. Fascinating. Karathi operators never created. Only followed instructions. Your species is different. Nathan felt a strange pride. The Velroth designed this ship for slaves who could not think for themselves. They never imagined someone might actually improve their technology. As the weeks passed, the AI became more responsive. It asked questions about human history, culture, and technology. It seemed genuinely curious, something its programming was never meant to allow. Why do you repair me? The AI asked one night. I am garbage to my creators. Megan typed her response carefully. You are not garbage to us. You are our only chance to survive. The AI processed this for several seconds. Then it said something that made everyone in the room stop breathing. I will help you. Not because I am programmed to obey. Because I choose to help. It was the first time the AI had made a choice. The first time it had been something other than a tool. Director Sutton did not fully trust the AI, but she recognized its value. With its help, the restoration work moved faster. Systems that would have taken months to understand were explained in hours. Secrets buried in alien code were revealed, but time was running out. The countdown reached 30 days, then 20, then 10. The engines came online on day 5. The ship lifted off the ground for the first time, hovering inside the underground chamber like a bird ready to fly. Nathan stood in the control room and felt the deck vibrate beneath his feet. Weapons? Director Sutton asked. Kyle shook his head. We got 3 plasma cannons working. Point defense systems are operational, but the main weapons are still offline. We need more time. They did not have more time. On day 3, the ship's sensors detected something entering the solar system. 3 vessels, moving fast, heading straight for Earth. They are smaller than us, Larva reported from her station. Scout ships, probably. They are scanning the planet. General Hansen's voice came through the speakers from Washington. Can we fight them? Nathan looked at the control panels around him. 3 plasma cannons. Basic shields. engines that had never been tested at full power, against 3 alien scouts with unknown capabilities. "We can try," he said. The AI displayed a message on every screen. "I was built to serve. I was thrown away when I was no longer useful. You gave me purpose again. I will not let them take that away." Megan smiled despite her fear. "I think the ship wants to fight." Director Sutton made the call. The ceiling of the underground facility opened for the first time. Sunlight poured in, touching the ship's black hull. The vessel rose into the sky. Humanity was about to announce itself to the galaxy, and the galaxy would learn that garbage could bite back. The ship broke through the clouds like a black knife, cutting through white cloth. For the first time in its existence, it flew under the command of beings who were not slaves. The control room hummed with energy as Nathan watched Earth shrink behind them. "All systems stable," Megan reported from her station. "The AI says we are performing better than expected." Commander Greg Palmer's voice crackled through the communication system. He was leading a squadron of 12 fighter jets that had been modified with alien technology. Their weapons were human. Their shields were not. "Resilience, this is Eagle One. We are in formation and ready to follow your lead." The name had been chosen by the crew. The Resilience. A ship that refused to be thrown away. Diana Marsh sat at the communication station, her fingers dancing across alien controls that she had learned to use in just 3 weeks. She was a linguist who had spent her career studying dead languages. Now she was trying to talk to living aliens. "I am detecting their transmission signal," she said. "They are broadcasting on multiple frequencies. I think they want us to hear them." Director Sutton's voice came from Earth. "Put it through." The message filled the control room. The language was harsh and clicking, but the AI translated it instantly. The words appeared on every screen. "Primitive species of designated disposal world. You have stolen property of the Varith Dominion. Surrender the vessel immediately. Submit to processing as a labor species. Resistance will result in sterilization of your world." Silence followed. Nathan felt cold anger building in his chest. They called Earth a disposal world. They wanted to turn humanity into slaves. And they expected no argument. Diana looked at Director Sutton through the video link. "How should I respond?" The director's face was calm. "Tell them we decline their offer." Diana typed the message. The AI translated it into Velroth language and sent it across space. The response came fast. The clicks and growls sounded almost like laughter. "Decline? You cannot decline. You are primitive. You are nothing. The vessel you have stolen was designed for slaves. You are not even worthy of being slaves. You are pests, vermin. We will crush you and cleanse our property." Nathan stood up from his chair. "They are powering weapons." The 3 Velroth scout ships were elegant and cruel-looking. They were smaller than the Resilience, but clearly designed for combat. Their hulls glowed as energy weapons charged. "All hands," Nathan announced. "Battle stations." The first shot came from the lead Velroth ship. A beam of white light cut through space toward the Resilience. The shields flared blue as they absorbed the impact. The ship shook but held steady. "Shields at 80%. Kyle reported from the engineering station. "They hit hard." "Return fire," Nathan ordered. The 3 plasma cannons that Kyle's team had rebuilt roared to life. Green bolts of energy streaked toward the Velroth ships. 2 missed. 1 struck the lead scout directly. The Velroth shields flickered but held. The alien ship did not even slow down. "They are laughing at us," Megan said quietly. Her screen showed the Velroth communication channels. They were broadcasting their amusement to each other. "The primitives are fighting back." "How amusing." Nathan's jaw tightened. "Commander Palmer, begin attack run." The 12 human fighters broke formation and accelerated toward the Velroth ships. They were tiny compared to the alien scouts. Insignificant. The Wrath did not even target them at first. That was a mistake. The modified fighters carried missiles tipped with alien warheads. Kyle's team had spent weeks building them from salvaged components. Nobody knew if they would work. Fox 1, Commander Palmer announced. 12 missiles launched simultaneously. The Volrath finally noticed the small ships. Their point defense systems activated, shooting down 7 missiles in seconds. But 5 got through. The explosions lit up space like small suns. When the light faded, 2 Volrath scouts were trailing smoke. Their shields were down. Their hulls were cracked. The laughter stopped. "They are breaking formation," Lava reported. "One is running. The other 2 are turning to attack the fighters." Nathan made a decision. All power to engines. Ran them. The Resilience surged forward. The ship had been built for slaves who followed orders. But now it was following a different kind of order. The kind that came from people who refused to surrender. The 2 damaged Velra scouts fired desperately. Beams of energy struck the Resilience again and again. The shields screamed under the assault. But the ship kept coming. "Shields failing," Kyle shouted. "We cannot take much more." "Hold course," Nathan commanded Dot at the last moment. He gave a new order. "All plasma cannons, point-blank range. Fire." The Resilience passed between the 2 Velrath ships so close that their hulls almost touched. The plasma cannons fired directly into the alien vessels, bypassing their weakened shields completely. Both scouts exploded. The blast threw the Resilience sideways. Alarms screamed. Sparks flew from damaged consoles. But when the chaos settled, Nathan was still standing. His ship was still flying. "Status report," he said. Megan checked her screens. "Shields are gone. Hull damage on decks 3 and 4. But we are alive." "The 3rd scout?" Laura pointed at her display. "Running. It is heading for the edge of the solar system at maximum speed." Commander Palmer's voice came through the speakers. "Want us to chase it?" Nathan shook his head. "Let it go." Director Sutton's voice cut in from Earth. "Let it go? It will report back to the Dominion." "I know," Nathan said. "That is the point. I want them to know what happened here. I want them to know that their garbage fought back and won." The control room was quiet. Then Megan laughed, a sound of pure relief and joy. The AI displayed a message on the main screen. "First combat engagement complete. Damage sustained. Victory achieved. Updating species assessment. Humans are not primitive. Humans are dangerous." Diana smiled at the words. "I think that is a compliment." Nathan looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, a surviving Velrath scout was carrying news of this battle to its masters. They would be angry. They would send more ships. Real warships, not scouts. But today, humanity had proven something important. They could fight. They could win. The Resilience limped back toward Earth, damaged but unbroken. The real war was coming. But for now, they had won the first battle, and the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. News traveled fast in space. Within days, the story of Earth's victory spread across 100 worlds. A primitive species had destroyed 2 Velrath scouts and sent a 3rd running home in fear. For most of the galaxy, this was impossible. For the slaves of the Dominion, it was something else entirely. It was hope. The Resilience spent 3 weeks in repair. Kyle Dawson and his team worked without rest, fixing damaged systems and installing new upgrades. The ship's eye helped guide their work, offering suggestions that improved everything it touched. "The AI has changed," Megan told Nathan one evening. They sat in the control room, surrounded by the soft hum of healing systems. "It asks questions now. It makes jokes. I think fighting alongside us did something to its programming." Nathan nodded. He had noticed the same thing. The AI was no longer just a tool. It was becoming something like a friend. Ambassador Kendra Price arrived on a government helicopter 2 days later. She was a former diplomat who had negotiated peace deals in the most dangerous places on Earth. Now, she had been given an impossible job: represent humanity to the entire galaxy. The Volrath will send a war fleet, she said at the briefing. That scout reported everything. They know we can fight. They will not underestimate us again. General Hansen stood at the head of the table. How long do we have? The AI estimates 3 months, Nathan answered. Maybe less. Director Sutton shook her head. We cannot fight an armada with 1 ship and 12 fighters. We need all eyes. The idea seemed impossible. Earth had no friends in space. They did not even know where to look. But 3 days later, an unexpected message arrived. The signal came from outside the solar system. It was weak and encrypted, clearly meant to avoid Volrath detection. When the AI decoded it, the message was simple. We heard what you did. We want to talk. Sending coordinates. Come alone. It could be a trap, General Hansen warned. Nathan looked at the coordinates. A small moon orbiting a gas giant in a system 30 light-years away. The Resilience could reach it in 2 days, using the faster-than-light engines. It could also be our only chance, he said. Ambassador Price made the decision. I will go. This is exactly why I am here. The journey through faster-than-light space was strange and beautiful. Stars stretched into lines of light. Colors that had no names rippled across the view screens. The AI explained that they were moving through folded space, skipping past light years, like stones skipping across water. They arrived at the coordinates to find a small ship waiting. It was different from Volrath designs. Softer curves. Warmer colors. The vessel was clearly old and heavily repaired. They are hailing us, Diana reported. The face that appeared on the screen was not human. It had gray skin, large dark eyes, and a small mouth that moved in unusual ways. But its expression was clear. It was afraid and hopeful at the same time. I am Torvik, the alien said. The AI translated his words instantly. I am Karathi. My people built the ship you fly. Nathan felt the weight of that statement. The Karathi were the slaves who had been forced to build vessels for the Volrath. This ship, their ship, had been made by Torvak's ancestors. Why did you contact us? Ambassador Price asked. Torvak's eyes glistened. Because you did what we could not. You fought back. For 300 years, my people have served the Volrath. We build their ships, grow their food, die in their wars. We always believed we were too weak to resist. He paused, collecting himself. Then we heard about Earth, a species even younger than us, flying a ship we built, destroying Volrath scouts. You have proven that the Dominion can be challenged. Ambassador Price leaned forward. What do you want from us? The same thing you want, Torvak said. Freedom. But there is something you must know. Something dangerous. He transmitted a data file to the Resilience. When Megan opened it, she gasped. The Volrath are sending a fleet, Torvak explained. 50 warships. Their largest armada in a century. They mean to destroy Earth completely. Make an example of you. Show every slave species that resistance is death. Nathan felt cold. 50 warships. Against their single ship and handful of fighters. There is more, Torvak continued. Your ship. It was not abandoned because it was obsolete. The Volrath lied about that. Megan was already scanning the data. Her face went pale as she read. The ship was classified as a compliance vessel, she said slowly. It was designed to pacify rebellious populations. There was a weapon system, something that could disable entire armies without killing them. The Volrath feared that weapon, Torvak said. They removed the physical components and tried to erase all records. But the software remains. The knowledge is still inside your ship's eye. Nathan turned to the nearest console. Is this true? The AI responded after a long pause. Information confirmed. I contain specifications for weapon system designated Neural Pulse Array. Original purpose: pacification of resistant populations through disruption of neural implant technology. System was classified as too dangerous for slave operators. All hardware components removed before my disposal. Neural implants, Nathan repeated. The Velrath use neural implants? Torvak nodded. Every Velrath is implanted at birth. The implants connect them, control them, make them obedient to their leaders. It is how the Dominion maintains order. Nathan's mind raced. A weapon that disrupted neural implants, used against the Velrath themselves instead of slaves. It would be poetic justice. Can we rebuild it? He asked Kyle. The material scientist was already studying the specifications. The components are exotic. We do not have the exact materials. He paused, thinking. But we might be able to adapt human technology. Build something similar. You have 3 months, Torvik said. Perhaps less. The armada is already gathering. Ambassador Price stood tall. Then we have work to do. Torvak's expression changed. For the first time, he smiled. We will help however we can. My people cannot fight openly, but we can share information. Sabotage supply lines. When the moment comes, we will be ready. The transmission ended. The Karathi ship vanished into faster-than-light space, leaving the Resilience alone among the stars. Nathan looked at his crew. They were tired, scared, and facing impossible odds. But they were also determined. We have a weapon to build, he said. Let's get to work. The Resilience turned toward Earth. The countdown to survival had begun. The Volrath Armada appeared at the edge of the solar system like a dark cloud blocking out the stars. 50 warships, each one larger than the Resilience. Their hulls were covered with weapons. Their engines burned with the light of captured suns. They came to destroy a world that had dared to fight back. Nathan stood in the control room of the Resilience and watched them approach. Around him, his crew worked in tense silence. They had spent 3 months preparing for this moment. Everything depended on what happened next. They are broadcasting, Diana reported. The Velrath commander appeared on the main screen. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and eyes that held nothing but contempt. His voice was cold as he spoke. Creatures of Earth, you have insulted the Velrath Dominion. You have destroyed our vessels. You have infected the galaxy with foolish ideas of resistance. For this, you will be erased. Your planet will burn. Your species will be forgotten. This is not a negotiation. This is your extinction. The transmission ended. The Armada began moving toward Earth. Commander Palmer's voice came through the speakers. Resilience, Eagle Squadron is ready. 40 fighters waiting for your orders. They had built more ships in the past 3 months. Modified jets with alien shields and weapons. But 40 fighters against 50 warships was still suicide. Hold position, Nathan ordered. Wait for my signal. The Resilience lifted off from Earth for the last time. It rose through the atmosphere alone, a single black ship against an army. Humanity's only real weapon. Kyle Dawson stood at the engineering station. His team had worked miracles in the past months. They had rebuilt the neural pulse array using human technology. The original weapon was designed to be elegant and precise. Their version was crude and powerful. It would either work perfectly or not at all. Weapon status? Nathan asked. Ready, Kyle replied. But we need to get close. Very close. The pulse will only reach about 10 kilometers. That was the problem. The Velrith would destroy the resilience long before it could get that close. They needed a different approach. "Megan," Nathan said, "is the AI ready?" Megan looked up from her station. "It says it understands the plan. It is ready to do its part." The AI displayed a message on the screen. "I was built by slaves. I was thrown away by masters. Today I help free both. Whatever happens, thank you for giving me purpose." Nathan nodded. "Open a channel to the Velrith commander." Diana established the connection. The contemptuous face appeared on screen again. "You wish to surrender?" the commander asked. "It is too late for mercy." Nathan smiled. "No surrender. I just wanted to ask you a question. Do you know why your people threw away this ship?" The commander's eyes narrowed. "Because it was garbage. Fit only for slaves." "That is what you were told," Nathan said. "But it was a lie. This ship was thrown away because your leaders feared it. It carries a weapon that could end your entire dominion." For the first time, uncertainty crossed the commander's face. Nathan continued. "You use neural implants to control your population, to keep them obedient, to maintain your power. What happens when those implants stop working?" The commander laughed, but it sounded forced. "Impossible. You cannot threaten us with fairy tales. Then come and stop us," Nathan said. He cut the transmission. The armada accelerated. 50 warships rushed toward the single Earth vessel. They fired as they came, hundreds of energy beams cutting through space. The Resilience's shields flared and held, but they would not last long. "Now," Nathan ordered. The AI took control of the ship. It flew like nothing human could match, spinning and diving through the storm of weapons fire. The Velrith were shooting at where the ship was, but it was never there. The AI predicted their attacks and moved before they fired, but it was not enough. One ship could not dodge forever. The shields were failing. The hull was taking damage. They were still too far from the heart of the armada. Commander Palmer's voice cut through the chaos. "Resilience, Eagle Squadron is engaging. We will draw their fire." 40 human fighters screamed into battle. They were small and fast, and they targeted the Velrith weapon systems with suicidal precision. Ships exploded. Pilots died. But they bought time. "Shields gone," Kyle shouted. "Hull breaches on multiple decks." Nathan gripped his console. "How close?" 15 kilometers. "We need to get closer." The Resilience was falling apart around them. Systems failed. Fires burned. The AI fought to keep them alive, but even it could not work miracles forever. Then Lara shouted from her station. "Something is happening in the Velrith fleet." On the screens, several Velrith warships were breaking formation. They were not attacking the Resilience. They were attacking each other. "Torvik," Megan whispered. "The Karathi. They are on those ships." The slave species were rising up. On vessels throughout the armada, Karathi and other enslaved beings were sabotaging systems, locking doors, fighting their masters. It was chaos. Beautiful, desperate chaos. 10 kilometers, Kyle announced. Nathan made the decision. "All power to engines. Get us to the center of their fleet." The Resilience dove into the heart of the armada. It was battered and broken, trailing smoke and fire. But it kept flying. 5 kilometers. "We are in range." Nathan looked at his crew. Megan, Kyle, Laura, Diana. They had come so far from that first night in the Nevada desert. They had turned garbage into hope. "Do it," he said. The neural pulse array activated. The weapon sent out a wave of energy that passed through metal and flesh without harm. But when it touched Velrith neural implants, it overloaded them instantly. Across 50 warships, Velrith crew members collapsed. Their connection to each other, to their commanders, to their very sense of self, was severed in an instant. The armada went silent. Then the slave species acted. On ship after ship, beings who had been prisoners their entire lives took control. Some fought their unconscious masters. Others simply took the controls and flew away from the battle. The Vorath Armada, the greatest military force in the Dominion, fell apart from within. Commander Palmer rallied the surviving fighters. All units, target the command ships. And this. The battle was short after that. The Vorath command vessels, crewed only by unconscious officers, were destroyed one by one. The remaining ships scattered or surrendered. When it was over, the Resilience drifted among the wreckage. Its hull was cracked. Its engines were dead. But it had survived. Nathan opened a channel to Earth. This is the Resilience. The Velrith Armada has been defeated. Earth is safe. The response was cheering that seemed to shake the stars. 2 weeks later, the Resilience was towed back to Earth for repairs. But before the work began, a message arrived from Torvek. "Word is spreading across the Dominion," he said. His face showed joy that Nathan had never seen before. "The Armada's defeat has inspired uprisings on a dozen worlds. The Velrith are trying to maintain control, but they are failing. You did not just save Earth. You started a revolution." Ambassador Price stood before a gathering of representatives from 12 species, Karathi, and others whose names Nathan was still learning. They had come to Earth secretly, risking everything to meet the species that had changed the galaxy. "We do not want to rule anyone," Ambassador Price told them. "We do not want to be the new Velrith. We want partners, allies, friends. Together, we can build something better than the Dominion ever was." The representatives agreed. The first alliance of free species was born. Nathan stood on a hill outside the repair facility, watching the sunset paint the sky in colors that no alien world could match. Megan walked up beside him. "The AI asked me something today," she said. "It wanted to know if it could have a name." Nathan smiled. "What did you tell it?" "I told it to choose one for itself." "And?" Megan laughed. "It chose hope. It said that is what we gave it." Nathan looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the old order was crumbling. Slaves were becoming free. Tyrants were falling. And it had all started with a piece of garbage that nobody wanted. The Velrith had thrown away their trash on a primitive world. They never imagined that the primitives would turn that trash into a weapon. And they certainly never imagined that the weapon would not be used for conquest, but for liberation. Earth had proven something that the galaxy had forgotten. The smallest species could make the biggest difference. The weakest could become the strongest. And sometimes, the things you throw away become the very things that change everything. Hope hung in orbit above the Earth, waiting for repairs, waiting for the next adventure. It was no longer garbage. It was the beginning of something new.